Good evening. Welcome to Conversations with the Candidates, brought to you by the League of Women Voters Education Fund and Houston Media Source. Today, we're going to be talking to the candidates from District J. I'm joined here with my co-host, Lindsay Munoz. And all of the candidates running for District J, City Council, have been invited to participate, and these are the ones that are joining us. Lindsay's going to introduce our first candidate.
Thank you so much, Jeff. We're proud to be joined by candidate Jim Beckham. Jim is an experienced business manager, community leader, Little League coach, military veteran, and most of all, a dad. He came to Houston to seek fortune, start a family, and to build a life. Fresh from the United States Army and the University of Oklahoma, he remembers the boom years of the late 80s, recruited to work in operations for Robert Onstead at Randall's Food Markets near Brayburn Valley West. Again, 10 years later in the 90s at the Sharpstown Fondren location, he listened to customers every day as they pleaded to keep their store open amid the changing demographics and neighborhood. In the 2000s, he returned to Sharpstown working for Citigroup on the Memorial Hermann retirement plan at their former corporate office near Bissonnette, and now into the latest decade, helping improve the neighborhood as a civic leader and dad. Most recently, within a few short years, he has led the Sharpstown Neighborhood Organization back from the brink with a renewed spirit founded upon real results. The SCA has never been more financially sound, with staff to handle core duties. Property crimes within the subdivision have plummeted by more than half, and the relationship with the Houston Police Department is strong. Residents are alert, engaged, and are working together to make the community safer. Built on a foundation of community-oriented policing, the SCA safety program is a model for other neighborhoods across the city of Houston. Jim is married and has a 5-year-old son. He and his family live in Southwest Houston. Welcome, Jim.
Thanks, Lindsay. Thanks, Jeff.
Jim, we're going to jump right into it with the 800-pound gorilla in the room.
Sure.
Unfunded pension liability is a major issue for the city of Houston. Mm-hmm. What are your ideas about how to address current pension issues and how to prevent similar situations in the future?
The pension issue is a big deal. I like to let folks know that, I experienced a pension dilemma as a young person when I was 13 years old. My dad came to the family and said that his pension check that month as a retired Air Force sergeant and federal employee had been cut by 40%. And that was a big surprise. Congress had passed a law changing the calculation for his benefit, and with no warning, his pension was cut. So that family trip and the new clothes and the car that we planned to buy, we just didn't do any of that. And my dad at 60 plus went and found a job to deal with that particular issue. So I think that story is important because there are real people behind these pension issues within the city. The benefits were increased 10 or 12, 15 years ago, and we have not adequately funded those benefits, but that was a promise made at that time, and it's a promise we'll have to keep. And I'll just be on the record and very clear, I would never be in favor of cutting benefits for an employee or someone close to retirement because I experienced the devastation of that as a young man. So I'm just not going to do that.
Do you support local control of the pension?
Well, we have, I like to think of it this way, we kind of have halfway local control. So we have the local control to increase those benefits, and no one had a problem with it. So now that there's some conversation about perhaps reducing them or they're not affordable, then we have an issue with being able to do that. And of course, any of those changes would have to go through Austin and those types of things. So look, the bottom line with the pension is you've got to get all the players together. There has to be serious, constructive dialogue, a lot of trust built between those parties. And look, you just can't step in and cut those benefits. Might there be an opportunity to have some second tier or some optional program or some different program for new employees? I would certainly look at that, and we would certainly discuss that. But you've got to build a partnership with those folks, and that's going to be first and foremost.
Great. Second question, what is your vision for public transportation in Houston?
Wow, we're under a major overhaul of public transportation now. So as I come out to the studio today, I see the new rail lines that are in, and it's just exciting. And of course, we know that Metro has gone through their reimagining, and we're really fairly early on to see how that's going to play out. All the feedback I'm getting from the community is pretty positive at this point. I'm sure there's a few bumps in the road here and there, but I think overall we're on the right track with that reimagining. There are other things we could do, though. So if you think about a district council member and some of the kinds of things that might be done. So out in Sharpstown, you have a lot of east-west routes on Bel Air and at Bissonnette. What we don't have are those circulator routes that might bring people from the university up to retail, and I think that's a little bit of a barrier. So some of the things I would like to see is perhaps pursuing some federal money for trolley recirculators. We have some of that downtown with Houston First. No reason we couldn't do that out in Southwest Houston. So I think we're really, there's some great things happening that are really exciting, but there's some great things that we could do.
Awesome. With oil prices well below $50 a barrel at this time, many Houstonians are at risk for losing their jobs, and thousands have already. What can the city do through policies and programs to protect our economy?
So the city has worked very hard through a number of administrations actually to try to diversify our economy. Still clearly energy driven, and that's clearly a risk. I think probably the smartest thing to do, or one of the best ideas that you could have, would be to continue that diversification of the economy. We have the Texas Medical Center not far from here. You have a biotech industry. We could easily have a biotech industry that could be the Silicon Valley of biotech here in Houston with all of the medical center infrastructure that we have. So I think the policies, what you can't do is focus on kind of the smaller project, nickel and dime, retail development type things. Those are fine, but I think there needs to be a grander plan for economic development and diversification. And then the wrapper on that would really be small businesses and medium-sized businesses. We have to, as a city and a municipal government, stop picking the winners, which are just the larger developers and organizations, and really think about mom and pop, economic development opportunities for them, infrastructure opportunities for smaller businesses, and I think that's the direction to go.
Great. Question 4, in a city as large as Houston, building and maintaining infrastructure is a challenge, as we all know. How do you think the city should tackle its infrastructure issues, including how to pay for it?
Right, so Rebuild Houston added a significant pool of resources for infrastructure. I think some of the criticism of that program, you know, I hear public infrastructure bond debt being compared to credit cards. Well, it couldn't be farther from the truth. It's a completely different economic vehicle. So a solid municipal government with a great track record and stability goes to the marketplace and borrows money for public infrastructure through a bond offering. That is not a credit card. So you bring that back to Rebuild Houston, we've generated hundreds of millions of dollars on that program to pay down what are really bonds that are extraordinarily low cost. So, and if you look at the data in terms of what's been produced here, I think we're paving half the lane miles of street this year that we did when Rebuild Houston started. So look, that's going to come back to the voters, I think, because we've got a court issue with how the language was presented, and so whether Rebuild Houston money will be available or not is uncertain at this point. I think in general it's a regressive idea to pay for things. The person in the $1 million house with the same square footage pays the same as the person in the 100,000 square foot house because it's based on square footage of drainage and whatnot. It's regressive. It's not as fair as I would like it to be. But we'll have to look at some sources of funding, and I think all options have to be on the table. The one thing I would say is that I would not be in favor of adding in additional fees like a garbage tax or other revenue that could be used to offset those things so we could direct money to infrastructure. If we're going to do it, let's do it and let's be on the record about it.
Over the last year, there's been a lot of discussion in council and in the courts about Houston's Equal Rights Ordinance, and that's going to be on the ballot this fall. What is your position on Houston's Equal Rights Ordinance?
So the question for me, I think, is a little historical because this came before council, and I did not have the privilege of listening or hearing from 1,000 citizens come and talk about that, pro and con. So if the question is, at that time, would I have voted for the ordinance, I really can't give an answer to that because I just don't know. I would tell you today it'll be on the ballot this fall and the voters are going to decide thumbs up or thumbs down. Clearly, I think there's a need for some type of discrimination ordinance. I'm not completely comfortable with the language as drafted. I think there are some legitimate questions about some of the self-identity provisions, not related to just the gender thing, but there may be some issues with self-identity for the other protected classes. So you might have someone who self-identifies with a racial, particular ethnicity that self-identifies and maybe files a claim for discrimination. I think it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. Support the idea of the ordinance. I don't think this language does it, but you know the voters are going to decide on November 3rd.
Okay.
Great. Next question, what are the 3 primary quality of life indicators that you would use as a metric to develop policy around and serve your constituents?
So 3 major quality of life indicators, very straightforward. Public safety, crime, I mean, that's a basic measurement. One of the things we've done in the Sharpstown community that is completely different than other neighborhoods is we've gone and we measure crime. We looked at a base year of 2012. We measure crime day by day, month by month in 2013 and 14 and now in 15. So when we think about quality of life and crime, we know what's going on. We have a very good idea of the reported crime in our community. So that's a major indicator. Another would certainly be infrastructure, people being able to get back and forth, so crumbling streets, the number of lane miles paved, the number of concrete panels put in. These are very objective metrics that are easily measured. On the economic development side of things and quality of life, we talked about jobs and small businesses and those things. Some of those metrics would include sales tax permits issued, commercial building permits issued. So this is the data that's out there that I don't think we properly identify and measure. And I think they're all very good indicators of what's going on in a particular community. On the crime side of things, I would tell you that we've been very effective in dealing with public crime in our subdivision and in our larger community. And burglaries, property crimes, through a very effective public safety program, have been reduced by half. And so that's a great partnership between the citizens that live in the community, the neighbors and the residents, HPD, who does a great job for us, but they can't be there 24/7. They're not always a minute away, so we have a private patrol program that fits in between there, and it's just been really, really effective. So those are the three major metrics or measures that I would look at on quality of life.
Thank you.
That's great. How would you use technology to better serve and communicate with citizens?
Wow, there's so many different tools available today. We kind of chatted before about how do you reach out to folks when coming to a meeting is not as exciting as it maybe could be. So you think about the different platforms. I think certainly with Twitter and social media and those types of things, we have the Nextdoor platform, which is now widely used. I think some neighborhoods and some parts of our neighborhood report great success with that, and others are not as happy. It's basically just a lost dog page, which is a value, but it could be so much more than that. So there's a lot of technology ideas there from now with the iOS applications and portable devices that allow you to keep a very good watch of what's going on in the world, and it's a level of two-way communication. The city has done a reasonable job in terms of the broad, like the website and general information there, but there's so much more we could do, and I think we're moving in that direction with social media and those kinds of devices, but it'll be interesting to see how it goes.
That's great. Our next question is specifically about crime.
Okay.
And when candidates speak of crime prevention, they often propose a formula of more cops equals less crime, when in reality the systemic causes of crime are linked to issues of education, issues of poverty, issues of opportunity.
Right.
What crime intervention and prevention policies do you support that will systemically address crime?
So I think it begins with, first of all, you have to have that safety net in place. You have to have your overall public safety scheme well in hand there. But in the Sharpstown, District J, Westwood, Larkwood, Braeburn, Glen, that corridor of communities out there. So we have an effective public safety program and private patrols and those things. But frankly, we still have issues with youth gangs and petty crime, and those are not going to be solved by having a security officer there or a police officer there. There are bigger issues there. So you have to engage the schools. So you have to have a relationship with both the public and private schools. We have a proliferation of charter schools now, so there's a whole other layer of relationships that have to be built. But I think the bottom line formula there is engagement at the school level, at the family level, providing social services, making sure we have resources for folks. And then probably the thing that's really not as well covered would be just communication. And so we have so many different languages spoken out in District J. I mean, just 70, 80, 90 different languages, and it's Spanish. No, it's not Spanish. They're from Guatemala. It's a completely different dialect, and so being able to communicate well and having those interfaces and those resources is pretty important.
That's great. So we're almost out of time.
Okay.
If you'd like to address the voters directly and tell them why they should vote for you as their city council member for District J.
Great. Thank you very much. Well, once again, Jeff and Lindsay, thanks for having me this evening. I appreciate your time, and thanks for the opportunity to speak to you and to the voters. My name is Jim Bigham. I live in the Sharpstown area of Southwest Houston in District J. I've been a long resident. I've worked and lived in the community for many years. Most recently, I've spent the last 4 years with the Sharpstown Civic Association as a community leader and bringing that community, frankly, back from the brink. We had a struggling organization. We had a crime issue. We struggled with funding. And working with neighbors and the Houston Police Department, we've been able to build what is really the most effective private patrol program in the city. Burglaries are down by more than half, and we built a great relationship across the community. The big things that I would work on at City Hall as your council member would include effective economic development, which we've talked a little bit about tonight, better neighborhoods, which include dealing with the issues with abandoned homes and vacant properties, dealing with junk cars, commercial dealers, all of those quality of life issues that neighborhoods, even with a strong civic club, really can't address. They need the city to step in and help with that. And then finally, the apartment community. So we have the largest collection of multifamily apartments in the city, based there in District J in Southwest Houston. And we need to really take a hard look at how to improve that from targeted code enforcement. We have great property owners and great landlords. They should be recognized. And the folks that are struggling, there should be code enforcement. We should do some land banking. We should look at taking blighted and decayed properties off the tax rolls and get them into a land bank for future development. A lot of good ideas. Public safety, economic development, apartments, better neighborhoods. My name is Jim Bigham, and I hope to be your candidate I hope to be your elected official for District J at City Hall. Thanks for your time.
Thanks for joining us, Jim.
Thank you.
Thanks
For those of you at home, stay in your seats, sit there in your computer chair, pause your YouTube channel. We're going to be right back. Welcome back to Conversations with the Candidates, brought to you by the League of Women Voters Education Fund and Houston Media Source. Lindsay is going to introduce our next candidate for Houston City Council.
Thank you, Jeff. Our next candidate is Mike Laster. He is the incumbent of City of Houston District J. Mike was born in San Pablo, California. His family relocated to Texas soon after his birth, settling in rural community of Bangs in Brown County. Mike is currently an attorney specializing in real estate with the firm of Williams, Bernberg, and Anderson in Houston, where he has practiced for the past 13 years. From 1989 to 1995, Mike served as a senior assistant city attorney in the real estate division of the city attorney's office. He has served as a board member and as a past chairman of the Sharpstown Tax Increment Reinvestment Zone, or TIRZ, and Redevelopment Authority. As chairman, he worked to complete an amended TIRZ project plan that provides over $90 million in infrastructure development and financing dollars to the TIRZ area. Mike is a founding board member and secretary of the Greater Sharpstown Management District. He helped to implement a Constables on Patrol program, which added additional constables to patrol the business corridors of the district, created a graffiti abatement program that cleaned up thousands of graffiti sites, and worked to revitalize the neighborhood with new street signs and an esplanade beautification. Mike is also a board member and former president of the Sharpstown Civic Association, a group serving over 6,800 homes in the area with neighborhood protection programs, crime prevention, and security patrols. Educated in the public schools in Brown County, where he served as president of his high school student body, of his high school class, of the National Honor Society, and of the Future Farmers of America. He is a graduate of the University of Texas at Austin's Plan 2 Honors, Hook 'em, and earned his Juris Doctorate from the University of Houston Law Center.
So we got both of them.
We've got both. While at the Law Center, Mike distinguished himself as the National Vice Chair of the American Bar Association Law Student Division. Mike is an active member of Trinity Episcopal Church, where he has served as senior warden and as member of the vestry. He is also a past parish delegate to the Episcopal Diocese of Texas. Welcome, council member.
Welcome. Boy, you reached back.
That is quite
I'm glad you didn't contact my third grade
bio.
teacher. We'd have had a different conversation.
Councilmember, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank
Let's
you for
just
allowing
start
me
out
with you.
swinging here. Unfunded pension liability. It's a major issue for the city of Houston. What are your ideas about how to address the current pension issues and how to prevent similar situations in the future?
Well, I think that there's not a singular fix on the issue. Number one, the singular largest cause is that the city has, over multiple years, determined not to pay what is called the ARC, or the asking amount, as opposed to what the legal amount we are supposed to pay. So it's the difference, sort of like your basic pledge and your maximum pledge. So we've not been paying the maximum pledge to keep up. I don't think there will be a singular fix. I think there will be a multiple leveled fix. Remember that we have three major pension plans. We have the municipal pension plan, which is, some people indicate, is about 60% to 70% funded, fully funded. Now, understand that's over a 30 or 40 year time period. Not all of those debts are due tomorrow. We have the police pension fund, which is about 75 to 85% fully funded, and we have the firefighters pension fund, which is, by some accounts, as much as 95% fully funded. Remember that the police and the firefighters, in their service to the city, are not paid Social Security. So this pension matters. It really is their only line of retirement benefits, to other than what they may have saved and worked for. So I think what's going to happen is that as we look towards the issues of bringing back some levels of local control in relationship to potentially the firefighters' pension, we know that that meet and confer has already happened with police and HOPE. I think that we're going to have to look at a combination of things. Shared costs by employees. I think we're going to have to look at some reduction in future hirees' benefits, not the current hirees' benefits, but the future hirees' benefits. I think we're going to have to look at some potentials of 401k type programs, hopefully on steroids. But most importantly, what we're going to need to have, and this is where the electorate becomes very important, we're going to have to elect a mayor that's going to be able to sit down with some level of trust of all of those pension programs and say, here's where we want to go, and bring the employees along with them without scaring people. I think the singular most important thing that we do right now is that we need to have a sober, business-like conversation, and we need to stop scaring people about the pension liabilities. Do we have liabilities? Yes. Do we have debt that we need to pay? Yes. Is it a crisis? No. Is it fixable? Absolutely. I believe we can fix it if we use the Houston model of just sitting down, using common sense, and coming to a good program together.
Great. Next question, council member. As Houston continues to grow, what is your vision for public transportation?
Well, I think for the long haul, we're going to continue to be a car-centric city, and we need to recognize that. We're just so large. And we're an independent group of people. We like to get in our car and go when we want to go. Other forms of transportation are much more limited in scope and in size and where in time and so on and so forth. I strongly support all levels of increased public transportation, whether that be rail, local rail, whether it be regional rail, whether it be interregional rail between Dallas and the other cities. I think that's going to be phenomenally important because we just probably can't continue to expand our airports beyond what we already have now. Clearly that intermodal form of transportation continues to be important, not only at intercontinental from an international standpoint, but now as we open up our new international gates at Hobby, even more so. But on the local level, it's so much about streets and sidewalks. It's going to be more and more about bikeways where we can get those to happen. It's going to be more and more about an interconnected use between Metro. I'm really excited to see how this new Metro plan is going to work. District J, which is in Southwest Houston, will probably be the singularly largest connected or affected area on these new bus lines. And our workforce that lives there will be impacted on being able to get everywhere else, whether it's downtown or to other parts of the city. Let me remind you about who we are in District J. We're 180,000 souls strong. We are the Ellis Island of the city. We're as many as 85 different language communities. We're 3 times more densely populated than the rest of the city with 9,000 people per square mile, where the rest of the city has about 3,100 people per square mile. So this public transportation component becomes vitally important. But we're also an average household income of $30,000. So public transportation is important to this community. What differentiates us from the rest of the city, in addition to our being compact, is our housing stock. 75,000 housing units, of which 60,000 are apartments. So people are walking out of their door looking for a way to get somewhere else as soon as possible. And we need to continue to provide maximum efficiencies on all of those levels of our intermodal transportation system.
Great, thank you.
The next question is about the economy. With oil prices below $50 a barrel now, many Houstonians are at risk for losing their jobs, and in fact, many already have. What policies and programs should be in place from a city perspective and from your position in City Council to protect our city's economy?
Well, of course, at the very basic level, from the city's operational standpoint, it's about how do we manage our budget. That's really what it comes down to. And in that sense, I think we have put forth a budget for the next fiscal year, and we will be in ongoing conversations with the next mayor about next budgets. Some people suggest, we believe that we've put forward a balanced budget according to all economic indicators. Some people suggest that we may be facing as much as a $120 million deficit. Remember that we also potentially faced that last year. We managed our way through the city's budget and through the city's fiscal year, and to the end of the day, we didn't have that. So I think it's very important that we continue to be very conservative in our spending, very conservative in our prognostications about the monies that coming in, and I think we need to continue from a city's management standpoint to be directly on point to make sure that our dollars are being spent in the best way, in the most effective and efficient way. Part of the challenges that we have with that, Lindsay, is that as we are doing public construction projects, our costs, because of the economy has historically been so strong here in the last several years, is our cost for construction is going through the roof. So we now are seeing increases of 20 to 30% over what we thought we had. So our dollars are not able to go quite as far. So we're going to have to manage that very carefully.
Mm-hmm. Next question, council member. In a city as large as Houston, building and maintaining infrastructure is a challenge. How do you think the city should tackle its infrastructure issues, including how to pay for it?
Well, as you know, we currently have a Rebuild Houston program for all basic purposes. That was sold to the public as a pay-as-you-go program. I think that is a fiscally responsible way to approach the issue. The challenge has been with that, though, whenever you pay as you go, is you pay down debt first. So we've been paying down some debt. So we've had some the pain on the front end. We've not gotten as much construction dollars per dollar, construction foot per dollar on the front end because we've been paying down debt. As we pay larger sections of that debt, more and more dollars will go, will go into the fund to make sure that we have more for construction as we move forward. I generally support the idea of Rebuild Houston. If the courts say that we need to put it back before the public, I will certainly vote to do that. I think it is a fiscally prudent approach to not have debt as we move forward with construction as much as possible.
One thing that the courts did put back to the people was the Houston Equal Rights Ordinance. You were serving in City Council when the Houston Equal Rights Ordinance was passed. Did you support the Equal Rights Ordinance? Do you support it going forward? And what is your opinion on that?
I was given the privilege of listening to hours and hours and hours of testimony from Houstonians across the board. I ultimately did vote for the creation of the Houston Equal Rights Ordinance, and I also voted to place it on the ballot because I think it's important that we not only follow the law, but we follow the court's dictates, and now the people will have the ability within their own consciences to vote according to their heart. Let me tell you why I voted for it to begin with. And here's a statistic that matters. 89%, and I'm going to say it again, 89% of the residential souls, of the souls that live in District J, are people of color. They are African American, they are Latino, they are Asian, and they are other communities that have historically been discriminated against. I don't know how a person who looks like me represents a district like that does not take into consideration the day-to-day lives of those people and provide for them a low-cost entry point to justice and the courts of appeal in that sense. Additionally, I think that the ordinance has provided or would provide an opportunity for a relief valve in this post-Ferguson era. For people who believe that they have been harmed in some way to, at a low-cost entry point, come before a tribunal to get their issues heard, to move forward, because the ultimate issue here is whether justice is being done for people. And whether we are an international city, we are a magnificent city seen across the globe, and I think that this city is structurally and emotionally and sophisticated and moving forward to address these issues of equality across the board. And I think we want to send that message to the rest of the world that if you come to Houston, you're going to do well because we're going to make sure that you have an equal chance.
Wonderful. Next question. What are the 3 primary quality of life indicators that you would use as a metric to develop policy around and serve your constituents?
Well, I think they just have to be the basics. They have to be infrastructure. They have to be quality of life, crime-related neighborhood, and then they have to be bringing communities together to vision where they want to be in 5 and 10 years. I've been very fortunate to be able to be council member of an area that in the past we've done more in the past 4 years than in many places get to do in 6 years. We're, from an infrastructure perspective, we've put a new Bel Air Boulevard on the ground, $25+ million. We're about to do a new reconstruction of Fondren, which would not only address traffic concerns, but flooding concerns, help the Sharpstown Civic Association replace its wall there. I've been able to leverage the kinds of dollars that we have there for quality of life and improvement in our parks, because that goes to the nature of neighborhood qualities. When people want to buy a home, they're looking at, number 1, the price point, they're looking at 2, the schools, if they're young families, and they're looking at how nice is this? I've been able to bring to the table new dollars for a new spray park in Lansdale, a new walking pavilion, a new walking trail in Crane Park, a new family pavilion in Lansdale, a new swimming pool in Sharpstown, and a new skate park in the Gulfton community. And that story alone is an inspirational story where the kids have inspired themselves and gone out and designed their own skate park. It's very exciting. So it's quality of life, it's neighborhoods, it's about and it's about crime reduction. In addition to that, not only have we been working with HPD, but we've also been working with this new the new Council District Service Fund, as you are aware. And as part of that, I was able to dedicate $273,000 for service activities that funded 6,900 extra police hours in the Sharpstown area, in the Westwood area, and in the greater 59 area. Panhandling focus. We issued over 600, nearly 700 citations for panhandling in that area. Prostitution, we had like 141 different arrests, and we had a number of major felony arrests over in the major violent crime initiative that we've had in the Sharpstown area. So I've been very fortunate to be able to bring those dollars to the community and work with the community. Lastly, I think what we have to do is to continue to work with our individual neighborhoods to help them understand where they are now and where they want to be 3, 4, and 5 years down the road, and to begin to plan for that. And I look forward to working with the neighborhoods to do that.
Well, we only have a few minutes left. If you'd like to look into the camera and speak directly to the voters as to why they should vote for you to continue being their city council member for District J.
Well, first of all, I want to give my sincere thanks to the voters of District J for allowing me to serve you for the past 4 years. It's been a great opportunity. It's been a great part of my life to be able to serve you. And you know better than anyone that the number one task that we have put forward in the District J office is community service and constituent services. Every one of you have called. You know that we don't simply give you a number and say, call this person, but we walk you down the hall. We make the call for you. We do the work for you. We are your shield, and we are your battler, or we battle for you down at City Hall every day. It's been enormously grateful to work with communities to help them vision where they are and understand where they are now and where they want to be. It's been exciting to work particularly with the kids in Gulfton to help them design their own skate park, to help them raise money for that. And it is now particularly exciting to be looking at the last 2 years of a term. So I'm asking the citizens to give me my final 2 years of the 3 two-year terms to be able to finalize a number of those projects. But we're not going to just stop with the work that we've been doing. We're going to look at safety and security along the 59 corridor and how do we continue to clean that up with TxDOT. We're going to look at other neighborhood-related issues. We're going to look at additional green space. And more importantly, we're going to look at quality of life issues that matter to your family. Southwest Houston is the future of this city. Southwest Houston is the future of this state. And I believe that we have the best people, we're the most prepared, and we're looking forward to be a workforce for the future. Thank you so much for allowing me to serve you. God bless, and I hope I can count on your support on Election Day. Thank you.
Thank you, Council Member. We appreciate you joining us here. And for those of you still watching at home, please sit tight. We're going to be back in just a minute. Welcome back to Conversations with the Candidates, brought to you by the League of Women Voters Education Fund and Houston Media Source. Lindsay's going to introduce our third candidate.
Thank you so much, Jeff. Welcome, Young Lee is an entrepreneur and is currently working in personal investments. He was born in Vietnam and immigrated to the U.S. with his family. He grew up in Philadelphia and studied in Boston before settling down in Houston. Young works very closely with the community and understands the importance of voting. He has worked with the Asian American Voters Association for 15 years and served as vice president of the organization for the last 3 years. Young has traveled all over the world and has seen firsthand how districts can be successful. He hopes to bring that knowledge to his seat in District J. Young graduated as a pharmacist from the Massachusetts College of Pharmacy and Health Sciences in Boston in 2007. He is now a part of the Massachusetts College of Pharmacy Alumni Association. He has lived in Houston for a few years now. Young is married with a 5-year-old son. He and his family live in the Sharpstown area. Young is a Christian man and attends St. Francis Church. Welcome, Young.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us, Young.
Thank you so much.
Let's start with a question about pensions. Unfunded pension liability is a major issue for the city of Houston. What are your ideas about how to address the current pension issues and what we should do to avoid them in the future?
Thank you for the questions. As I realize, the pension plan has the problems, and most people are feeling jeopardized about their securities, about the benefit. I believe that I have a plan that I'm going to do more research about it. But the problem that I see has happened many years. The Houston cities, the budget is getting the problems, and the first and most priority issue that we have to focus is to balance that sheet, and there are many solutions to that. If I'm getting into the office, I would contribute my.
Wonderful. The second question, as Houston continues to grow, what is your vision for public transportation?
I love Houston. I lived in Houston for a few years. I travel a lot. Before that, I lived in different places. And I mean, for example, it's New York, Philadelphia, Boston. And the problem that I see that Houston is becoming different than before. So Houston is not as what it is before because we are diversing. We have many people move in. We develop a lot of businesses. I mean, we are growing. We are totally different as we realize. So the transportation is the most important part of the quality of living right now, as everybody's having a problem of traffic, you know. So one of the problem that we should solve for the cities to adapt into a future quality of life is the transportations, the public transportation. For the infrastructure that we should consider, public more. We're going to incorporate more public. Transportation. So I would look more into that, and I would create a solution. Yeah.
Great. Our next question is about the economy. With oil prices below $50 a barrel now, many Houstonians are at risk for losing their jobs, and many already have. What policies and programs should the city put in place to protect the economy?
Okay, so that question is really good. I'm an investor, so I really follow the oil price right now. One thing that I noticed is Houston is a big city and has been relying on oil too much, and we should diversify the business. We should attract more different businesses into the cities. We should offer more incentives. We should create more the availability, the vacancies for other different businesses, international business to be in Houston. So that's the first thing that we should solve the problems, because we can't just rely on the oil industry anymore. And the problem right now is more people lose jobs. So we're going to stop this. We're going to eliminate the fear of that people lose jobs. So I believe that I can contribute my my ability to do that. Yeah.
So what other industries do you think the city should promote versus just the oil industry, or how should we diversify?
There are many different industries that we can incorporate, but we should promote it publicly. We should attract, because people are coming from different states, and they love Houston because the Houston cities are better in the environment, better in the conditions. I mean, everything is getting better. There are a lot of different industry that we can attract.
Next question. In a city as large as Houston, building and maintaining infrastructure is a challenge. How do you think the city should tackle its infrastructure issues, including how to pay for it?
That's a good question. In terms of the Houston City general, and in terms of the District J that I am in right now, the infrastructure is getting, a lot of there are a lot of problems that happen especially in District J. So we have to put more attention to that. In terms of the budget, we should have. We shouldn't we shouldn't cut the service of the people. We shouldn't increase tax, but we can get rid of some assets of the cities. We can increase that budget, and then we focus on balance the sheet, so that we can have the fund and we can split it and allocate it to the right location, especially District J where I live. Business streets, there are flooding going on. I mean, there are problem with the sidewalks. There's many things happen in District J. So what I'm concerned is having a chance so that I can participate and get the allocation to the right location where the city shouldn't be inappropriate like that.
Okay. Over the last year, City Council, the mayor, the court system have all weighed in on Houston Equal Rights Ordinance. What is your position on the Equal Rights Ordinance?
Okay, so that's one of the reasons why I'm running for this position. I'm a Christian man. I'm a family man. I believe that everyone has their right to be on their own. They can be anything, but it shouldn't be in public. They can keep it at home. I mean, I'm talking about that HERO ordinance law. I'm totally not agree with that. It's not something that I'm going against it, but I don't agree with the point where they allow the men go into the restroom, the women's restrooms. That's going to create the public insecurity. So I'm gonna go and represent the people in my districts. I'm gonna speak up their voice, and I'm gonna be on their decision.
Okay.
Next question. What are the 3 primary quality of life indicators that you would use as a metric to develop policy and serve your constituents?
The 3 quality of life for a person or for a family or for a position in society. The first thing is, when you walk out of the door, do you really feel safety? And especially when you get home from work, do you feel comfortable? Because that's the biggest problems right now that's facing the District J specifically and Houston generally. Sort of a safety issue. The second thing is the growth. We have to concern about the growth, the job creations, the liability, and we should do something to help the people having the better life. So the growth. The third thing is the seniors. That's the most concern that I'm running for this position. I want to do something for the elderly seniors, for the old people, for people who are rich. I mean, we're okay with that, right? But for the poor elder seniors, they are not having the right benefit. So that's the third thing. And the final thing that I'm concerned is the voice of the people. I mean, they have to have the voice. So they have to have someone to represent them. They have to have something that to be solved by somebody. So the quality of life is to be comfortable to live in an environment where they are totally be listened.
Great, thank you.
So as a City Council member, how would you use technology to better serve and communicate with the citizens of District J?
Technology. Well, technologies, the most important part is the media. The media is the most important for communications right now. But I mean, beside that, we can use phone call as a technology. We can have computer, we can have emails. I mean, there are many technologies out there that we can use. But I mean, we can use as appropriate technology as we believe.
Okay.
So another question, and you had touched upon this issue. When candidates speak of crime prevention, they often propose a formula of more cops and less crime, when in reality the systematic causes of crime are linked to issues of education and poverty and opportunity. What crime intervention and prevention policies do you support that will systematically address crime?
That question has to do with the minorities, because I'm not saying that the minorities are having the biggest crimes right now, but Houston's general and District J specifically grow dramatically, and there are many different races, different type of minorities are coming to Houston. So as a minority, there's nobody can understand them more than myself as a minority, because that's the fact that my district has mostly minorities. Although they are poor, they need jobs, they need support. So the first thing that we should consider is to create jobs, to create a better environment for them, and to encourage the businesses around the neighborhood. That's automatically solve the problem, because they're going to have some jobs in the neighborhood. They're going to have some benefits, and that's going to be gradually reduce the crime rate.
Wonderful, thank you.
Thank you.
To piggyback on that crime question, part of the national narrative is about law enforcement's relationship with communities of color and the GLBT community. What can we do in Houston to improve the law enforcement relationship, the police, the emergency responders with communities of color?
You talk about it in terms of policies or?
What can you do as a city council member to kind of affect that change or improve that relationship?
I believe that we should have more police to go around the neighborhood. We should have more lights in the districts where there are needing to be bright. We should have more. We should have a cleaner neighborhood. We should fix the infrastructure. We should build. We should take care of the neighborhood first. We should make the environment better looking. And of course, we have to watch out. Yeah. So, in my own perspective, if I'm selected for the position, I would ask more police to be around my neighborhood. I would have the neighborhood more cleaner, and that would automatically, reduce the crime rate.
Well, great.
Yeah.
Well, we only have a few minutes left, so if you'd like to look directly into the camera and address the voters of District J as to why they should vote for you as their Houston City Council member.
Good evening, people from District J. My name is Young Lee. This is my first time running for District J as a councilman member. I'm not a politician career, but I'm an honest person. I don't do a lot of promises, but I'm going to try my best to work and cooperate and have an opportunity to help people, stand up for people, and do whatever I can. There are a lot of challenges that's going on in my neighborhood, in our district, and I noticed that the people in the positions some people are working too long and they need to be gone. They need to have to be replaced by someone who has a new vision, so that those challenges can be solved by the person who can have a better knowledge to bring it to the districts. So I hope that I have the chance to be voted, to be supported And then I'm going to work closely with everybody so that everything will be solved, and we're going to build a better district in the future.
Great. Well, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Stay put right there. We're going to be right back with you.
So I'm done.
Welcome back to Conversations with the Candidates. We've had all of our conversations with the candidates for Houston City Council District J. And with the remaining few minutes left, I wanted to ask my co-host Lindsay just a couple of questions about the League of Women Voters because she sits on the board. Lindsay, how did you get involved with the League?
You know, I actually, when I first moved to Houston, that was one of the first meetings that I had, was the annual luncheon that they provide, and they brought in such political pioneers, and it really opened my eyes into, you know, the past and what we have built upon for the city of Houston. And, you know, it was interesting to see the dynamics that were in the room at the time for the luncheon, and the energy that you know was there. And I knew that I wanted to be a part of it because they were making a difference and they were really impacting the voters in as far as educational. You know, our voter turnout is so low, and any chance that we can get out there and educate voters, which the League of Women Voters have a wonderful bipartisan voters guide that they put out for the elections, and I highly encourage everyone to either find it online through the League's website or to find one of the printed copies of it, because it is such an invaluable resource when you're selecting from so many different candidates, as you've seen here tonight.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Lindsay. If you're sitting there at home and you want to get involved with the elections, upcoming elections here in Houston, you can always volunteer with the League of Women Voters. They put on, it seems like, a forum every day. There's plenty of access to the candidates, and you can follow along with these issues at home at vote411.org as well as houston.vote. Thank you so much for joining us on behalf of the League of Women Voters Education Fund, on behalf of Houston Media Source, and on behalf of my co-host Lindsay. Thank you for joining us.